Oh, okay. It's interesting that Trump finished the prime minister in September of 1874 and began Popenjoy a month later. And because the what I think we can consider is how the relationship between the married couple and the father, the woman's father, differed very much in those two stories. So I think it's interesting to know that he had just finished one and started a very kind of different one. He was interrupted by illness in the winter, then he went hunting, then he prepared for his trip to see his son in Australia. He began again on board in March and finished May 3rd, the day before landing. And then a month later, he starts the American Senator. The thing is He Popenjoy was not published till May 1878 because there was too much trollop around. The American Senator actually got published before Is He Popenjoy. Popenjoy just stayed in his desk for a couple of years. Okay, next. Okay, these are book covers of the novel I found, and I think they're right because they're all three so different. I don't know where this first one on the left comes from. It looks like a later scene that we'll see. This is the one I used that I got used. It's the 1986 Oxford World Classic version. And then this is LibriVox, which of course this child looks nothing like Popenjoy, who's supposed to be dark and swarthy, etc. Okay, next. Okay, he writes this because it's popular because everyone's wondering, is he tick-borne? There was the famous trial the man on the far left was Roger Tichborne, who was supposedly drowned at sea, but maybe made it to Australia. His mother was convinced he was still alive and made all kinds of advertisements in Australia. And this butcher from Wagga Wagga shows up and claims to be the one, and the mother says yes, but he's put on trial, and it's one of the longest trials in British history at the time. Next. And this is the thing that Dominic had showed us at the last meeting. Also, a lot of you probably know Zadie Smith's latest book, The Fraud, has elements from the this tick-borne trial. Next. Okay, so it inspired many novels and of bigamy, impersonation, illegitimacy, but also in terms of why it's called Is He Popenjoy, besides that there was this contemporary fashion for teasing titles, Miss or Mrs. by Wilkie Collins, or Who Is She by Anonymous. I should have put a question mark there. And then John Sutherland evidently counted up 1,175 question marks in Is He Popenjoy by either coming from the narrator or the characters. Compare that Barchester Towers only had 626. Okay, next. Okay, the critics. Oh no, he's in his late stage, he's no good. Dublin University said only a writer devoid of all sense would call a book by such a name. The Academy said it represents Trollop's least pleasant manner. There was a sense that people thought they were getting Barchester Towers and got something a lot meaner. The Times said it would more than pass muster had it appeared anonymously, but it is by no means worthy of its author. And the Spectator attacked him for trading on his reputation, writing inferior tales. This one poor as a work of art and to some extent unwholesome. Next, okay. The background of the story, okay, there's 3 locations and they move around a lot. There's the deanery of Brotherton, and somewhere I read that this is all taking, Brotherton's in the very far west part of Barchester. Manor Cross, that's 9 miles from Brotherton, where the Germain family live, and London, especially Munster Court and Berkeley Square. And there's so many themes listed: primogeniture, inheritance, class, money, marriage, women's rights. What I'm taken with, at least in these chapters, is the interaction between people and the use of power, whether it's money, sex, or rank, to manipulate, either directly or indirectly, a kind of bullying that we see with Adelaide, with the dean, and the marquis is the British pronunciation, right? And the whole thing of marriage and money, I feel like Trump, sorry, Trump's mantra is always seems to be must marry money. But does money bring happiness? And we can consider the case of Lord George and Mary. Okay, so the main characters, we have the Dean Lovelace, who has very humble beginnings. He's the son of a livery stableman from Bath. And his other side were candle makers. Tallowax is just such a wonderful name for that family. But he was ambitious. He got a degree. He got ordained. He wrote books, and he is very ambitious. His wife dies around the time he becomes dean. He has an unmarried daughter, Mary, who is, to me, one of the interesting things is her journey to the world of adult men and women, because she's very naive. We'll talk about Miss Tallowax in a little bit, but I'll go over to the Germain family. All right. They are rich. I mean, they're not rich. They are powerful. They have titles. The Marchioness has the Marquis, the oldest son. I think Augustus is his name, but he is selfish and mean and a bully to the family. He's off in Italy. She has 4 daughters. And one aspect of this novel, which is interesting, between being married and being an old maid. Sarah is the oldest and dominant one in the family. Everyone is kind of afraid of her. Alice does get married. Suzanne is a real prig. Amelia just goes along with whatever Sarah or Suzanne say. The youngest son, George, is the one who has to take care of everything because the oldest brother is not there. The oldest brother took all the money, but he left them the house. But they don't really have enough money. So Sarah decides, George, you must get married. But George has outraged them in a way by falling in love with Adelaide de Baron at the time. And oh, I misspelled that. Okay, sorry. She is fast. The sister, she has no money. She is totally unsuitable, but he's so in love. But 2 things happen. She decides to marry money. A man who's old as her father, but plenty of money. She's fast, she wants amusement, and we'll see how she does that. My question is how George, who seems so flat, could have fallen in love with her. But the kind of irony is that the Germain family have no money, but they are so proud of their class, whereas the dean, etc., don't. Okay. So the question is, after Adelaide marries Mary Lovelace, inherits 30,000 pounds. How convenient. And the way the Dean and Sarah, the sisters, manipulate George to get him to consider to marry Mary. But I find that chapter of the way the Dean, her father, really manipulates her into marrying Lord George very upsetting. He kept saying, it's your choice, but blah, blah, blah. And she begins to realize that this thing on the right, this is what she thinks of as marriage, is falling in love. She's 17 going on 18. She's very naive and unworldly. But this is what she gets. He's 33 with gray hair, but he is handsome. And at that point, she knows, oh, I have to please everybody. But there is this hard kind of talk to her of her, how she's got to will herself into loving him. That's kind of pathetic to me. Anyway, next. So they get married. So the married life at Manor Court, number one. Okay, they get married. She's confused. Her father is now encouraging her to go out in the world, be free. It has such a different word meaning now, but gay and carefree. But her husband's treatment of her is, you've got to start reading the Gibbon, and he sets up this routine for her, or regimen for her is more likely. But also she discovers she's not just married to a man, but his whole family, including his bossy sisters, who criticize her for not going to church enough and with enough enthusiasm, and for not wanting to sew petticoats for the poor. Next. Okay. All right, this picture's of Trollope's mother, not Miss Tallowax, but it reminded me of her. Anyway, God bless Miss Tallowax. She comes to visit the dean. There's a dinner for her at the deanery, and it gets Mary out of that claustrophobic across manor into somewhere where she can breathe a bit. But it's positive as that, but then we get the introduction of Adelaide into the plot as the supreme manipulator. She keeps dropping the word jealous and talking, and Mary doesn't know how to take her because nobody's kind of talked to her that way before. But Miss Tallowax goes to Manor Cross, and the humor of this is just so wonderful. It's because she knows her class, and she's very obsequious to higher classes. But she dresses like, I mean, I feel like she would have showed up like this, whereas the Germain sisters look like they're Quakers, or they came from a convent or something. So plain, no jewelry. And the whole scene of nobody talking at the lunch until Lady Sarah finishes her mutton chop, every single bit of it from every angle. It's so wonderful. But then what comes of it is the two important conversations that follow with Miss Tallowax and the dean, telling them about, you know, they're not treating her well. Did you notice how she is snubbed every time she talks? But I think even more is the conversation George and Mary have and the priorities in the marriage. Next, and I have the page. Oh, anyway, Miss Tallowax has given her a diamond ring, and she's so proud of it. I mean, she wants nice things. She's a young bride. But Lord George is very stern with her. And well, we just don't wear things like that. You know, we think conduct is better. well, can't you kind of have both? And then he starts talking about, aren't you glad my sisters care about you? And then she realizes they're, going behind her back and complaining that she dresses too well. And if you go down near the bottom, he says, "You wish Mary to be one of us, do you not?" She paused for a moment, then she answered, "I wish to be always one with you." He almost wanted to be angry at this, but it was impossible. "To be one with me, dearest," he said, "you must be one also with them. I cannot love them as I do you, George. That I am not sure is the meaning of being married." And I think it's just, it says it all about their relationship. Next. Okay. Manor Court is thrown into uproar. Letter from the Marquise. "I'm coming home with the wife, and I want everybody gone, 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 far away. Even Cross Manor," which is a cottage just about a mile from it, "which belonged to the Marchioness for her lifetime, is off limits." And so everybody is outraged, but the mother says, "Yes, go along." But Lady Sarah, I mean, she's mixed in my book, because she just says nobody's going to throw us out like that. And there she begins to rebel. But this is when the dean and George begin to maybe feel like they have to make a plan. Okay. Okay. I'm not going to talk about the hunt. I'm already going over my time. Mary wants to hunt. She's forbidden Adelaide too. She goes anyway. She dislocates her shoulder. Um, she gets the idea then she's going to play with Mary and George. She's going to be vindictive. Why should he have fallen in love with somebody so quickly after her? And we'll see how that develops. Okay, next. Oh, so, but while that she's there, she starts manipulating George, and that there's kind of a sexual even thing of in the middle. She had got it at last. She had made her fish rise to the fly. "Oh no," she said, "there can be nothing to that." But she thinks, "If you love me, you could tell me. It doesn't even matter." He was trapped by her flattery, but he did not wish to betray his wife by making love to the woman. He liked her words and her manner, but he was aware that she was a thing sacred as being another man's wife. But and one of the things we'll discuss is, what does he see in her? Next. And I have to go faster, I know. Should they go to London? George doesn't want to leave his mother and sisters when the brothers come in. London is Sin City. Mary's loyal wife, maybe. But the dean says, "George needs it. You need it. George has been under too many women's influence. You need to make a man of him. Go." Okay, next. So, life in London. Oh, it's just something else. She thinks at last I'm going to live like a married woman. Seems to be, she says to her husband, "We have never been alone together." But he knew he didn't know how to live in London. But it might still be that she be able to galvanize him into that lover's vitality of which she dreamed. He never rebuffed her, blank, 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 but through it all, she was quite aware she had not galvanized him as yet. And next, there's just two two pictures of, to me, Mary's attempt to galvanize him. But how can, he accept Adelaide and not Mary? Things. Okay, next. And okay, dinner at Adelaide. She begins to realize she's not in Kansas anymore, as they might say. She is, London is a different world. There's slang. Men and women say things to each other they would never say before. And she's introduced to different people up next, so I can finish up. So next, Dominic. Oh, but she meets Jack De Baron. Oh, and she thinks this is who I was dreaming of back then and didn't get. And he's a little bit like the captain in He Knew He Was Right, or the colonel, whatever, that he likes to flirt, and he likes to flirt with women, and then he gets himself into trouble. And she just thinks it's a lot of fun. And next, we are almost done. Hedda Halton has news. He's not only bringing a wife, but a small child, a son, the heir to the Germain family line, Popenjoy. They are Italians. What will happen next? Tune in to next time. And the next two things are, I just find it interesting to kind of make a diagram of how Mary deals with men and women and how George does too. But we don't have time for that. And the last slide is some possible discussion questions. Thank you.